The issue now is that Donald Trump has got to be loud and clear and tell his supporters that violence at rallies is not what America is about, and to end it.
If you play with matches, you can start a fire you can't control. That is not leadership, that is political arson.
Democratic candidates Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders joining forces to attack Donald Trump for the violence at some of his recent rallies, and we're back now with the panel. Well, let's talk some Democratic politics. Sanders won a close but still shocking victory over Clinton in Michigan this week. He says it'll springboard him to the nomination. Karl, one, does it at all change the overall dynamic of the Democratic race? And second, even if it doesn't, what does it reveal about potential vulnerabilities of Hillary Clinton in a general election?
Well, this really was a remarkable victory. In the Real Clear Politics average going into the debate, there was not a single poll showing Sanders ahead, and her lead in the Real Clear Politics average was 21.4 of all those polls that were being run right up to it. And we eked out a 1% victory. He got a bigger break in the delegates because his vote was spread more widely across the state. He got 63, she got 58. But look, it does not change. It allows us to have more entertainment and excitement on the Democratic contest going forward. There'll be other instances where in states with substantial white populations in the Democratic primary that he pulls off a victory, she will win. Like that night, she won Mississippi 85-14. Taking 29 delegates to his 4.
But does it reveal some weaknesses?
Oh, absolutely. This is a systemic problem with her and the Democrats. John Judas wrote an interesting article last year saying the emerging Republican advantage. Blue-collar people, working-class people are becoming unglued from the Democratic Party, and we're seeing that when they can't go for the Democratic front-runner. However, look, this contest was over before it began because of the 712 superdelegates. 766 elected delegates for her, 551 for him, but among the unelected superdelegates, the House of Lords of the Democratic Party, it is 465 for her so far to 25 for him. And I understand they've got patrols out looking for those 25, and they're certainly taking into custody.
They're rounding them up. Then there is the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. And we showed you during one of the breaks how she bristled when in the last debate Jorge Ramos even raised the question as to whether or not she would drop out if she were indicted. Kim, on the other hand, with no sign that a grand jury has even been impaneled to begin to hear evidence in this case, this is going to take months at the least, yes?
Well, we don't know. One of the most important things that came out this week was the news that Justice has supposedly given immunity to Brian Pagliano. This is the guy who maintained her server at her house. He also was a State Department employee. And, you know, I would argue that people have all kept focus on the national security question, whether she mishandled classified information. But, you know, Fox itself reported last month that, in fact, the FBI is also investigating this question about whether or not there wasn't some unseemly intersection between her official duties at the State Department and all the work that was done at the Clinton Foundation. And they seem to be looking at this very widely. So will that potentially take a little bit more time? Maybe, but she could be on the hook for something far more than just classified information.
There was another interesting moment in the Democratic debate this week when Hillary Clinton seemed to move well to the left of Barack Obama on immigration policy, when she in effect pledged that as president she would not deport any illegal immigrants in this country now unless they were violent criminals. Take a look at this exchange.
You would stop those deportations.
I would stop.
The deportations for children and those who don't have a criminal record.
Of the people, the undocumented people living in our country, I do not want to see them deported. I want to see them on a path to citizenship. That is exactly what I will do.
Julie, what did they make of that at the White House?
Well, I mean, this is part of what we've seen happen with Hillary Clinton on a lot of issues in this Democratic primary, and it's primarily the influence of Bernie Sanders, which is the Democratic Party has moved to the left, and Bernie Sanders has really exposed that, broken that wide open. And if she sticks with some of the positions that she's had previously, even some of the positions that Barack Obama has, she's out of step with the majority of Democratic voters. I think if she becomes the nominee, there's potentially going to be a very important moment this summer if we do see a surge at the border, as we've seen in past years, where she's going to have to answer questions about what she would do with people who are coming across the border, young children coming across the border, families coming across the border. But again, I think this speaks more to where the Democratic Party has moved and where Bernie Sanders has taken it than anything else.
Juan, let's pick up on that. I mean, I understand the politics of Clinton trying to fend off Sanders and also her desire to try to mobilize the Hispanic base in a general election. But when you say that you are pledging as president you will not deport any illegal immigrants, I'm not talking about Donald Trump's roundup of 11 million people, no illegal immigrants unless they're violent criminals. First of all, is that legal? And secondly, do you run the risk of a backlash in a general election by some people who may say, you know, we do need to do something to enforce our borders?
Well, clearly Donald Trump has stirred tremendous passions in the country on the immigration issue. I think that's really the launching point for his campaign, is this anti-immigrant passions in the Latino community nationwide. So I'm not just talking about in Florida, where everybody is right now in terms of the political focus, but I'm talking nationwide. There is a revulsion among the Latino community, not only at the anti-immigrant tone of Trump's campaign, but anger at President Obama for his high level of deportation exceeding what took place under President Bush.
But don't you think that a potential Republican candidate, whether it's Trump or somebody else, is going to be able to say in the general election, really, you're not going to deport any illegal immigrant, the whole 11 or 12 or 14 or whatever it is, they can all stay here if they haven't committed a crime?
I think the contrary position, Chris, would be to say, and exactly how do you plan to deport all these people? Are you going to line up buses? Or do you have a
President
realistic
Obama's
idea?
deporting them right now.
No, he's deporting people. He's going after specific targeted groups at a very high rate. That is, I say, discomforting the Latino community. So, one, in terms of
I'm just
political
talking about
passions,
continuing that.
Well, I'm talking about in terms of political passions. I think the Democrats, and especially Hillary Clinton, feel the need to appeal to the Latino community on an issue that is #1 in their mind. So they're playing to that base. If you're asking about a subsequent backlash more generally, I don't see it, actually.
Look, what's involved here is the rule of law. The President of the United States has no authority to suspend the enforcement of our immigration laws in toto, as Hillary Clinton proposed. And with all due respect, there's not one mind within the Latino community on this. You want to go down and talk to these mayors in the Rio Grande Valley, and they are irritated, angry about not people being deported, but not enough people being deported. And these are Latino mayors who understand that this influx of illegals, particularly children and families, is overrunning their social safety networks.
Thank you, panel. See you next Sunday.